Hi, how you going? If this is the first time that we've met, my name is Margot and I am an empowerment coach, part of Limitless Empowerment. I am hoping that if this is not the first time you've met me, you have listened to other series of mine. However, today what I wanted to concentrate on is the topic of rapport and communication. Now, I do have a 7 days communications challenge available for those that are interested. I'd love to hear from you. Just please let me know. However, this one is going to concentrate more on just understanding what it is that we need to look for to help us really establish rapport with those that we meet, those that we speak to over the phone, those that we work with, those that we're in relationships with, friends, family, absolutely anybody. And really understanding what is it that you need to look for that will help you to understand, are you being the best communicator at that point in time? Do you need to shift gears? Do you need to change the way in which you're communicating? Now, first I'm going to begin saying that communication is not just the words that we speak. And I think a lot of people get quite confused when I say that because they believe that most or all communication is based on our words. However, words only make up 7% of communication. Surprisingly enough, it's a very small percentage. 38% is our tonality, the type of tone that we're using. For example, have you ever come to say something to potentially your partner or a family member, and you may have come across with a tone that you have not actually heard, but they've received, and they respond to you quite aggressively or short in response. Your instant reaction is kind of to go, oh, whoa, hold on a second. Where did that come from? I just asked you to pass the water. But you may have said it in a way of saying, pass the water, where it sounded very commanding and tony. But to you, you weren't actually aware of the tonality that you were using. And 55% of our communication is our physiology. What is our body doing? What is our physiology doing as we are communicating? Now, communication, majority of it is unconscious. It's unconscious communication. When we are consciously aware of the unconscious ways of our communication, we're actually able to communicate a lot better. However, what many people aren't aware of is that as they are communicating, a lot of unconscious communication is going on, and therefore the person in front of them or the people in front of them, if it's one to many, are receiving it completely different. Now, there are other factors that will come into that. For example, the other person's representational systems, how they view the world. There are other topics that influence the way someone responds to you. However, when we become aware of communication and rapport building, it gives us a much better opportunity to connect with people. So let me start touching on rapport, and I'm going to focus first on sensory acuity. What does that mean? Okay, well, have you ever taken time to actually look at people and watch what is it that they're doing? What is their physiology doing? What is their facial reactions doing? What is their skin tone doing? Is it light or is it dark? Now, at certain times or reactions, our blood will rush to our face, therefore will look like a much darker complexion than we would normally look. Now, I'm not saying dark or light as in skin tone because everybody's got a different skin color. However, actually understanding the skin color in the sense of dark or light starts to give you an understanding as to whether, as I said, is blood rushing to the face or not? Is their skin color darkening or is their skin color lightening? Are they therefore lowering their blood pressure? Is there a factor of fear or anxiety or something else potentially going on that their skin color has actually lightened? Skin tonus. Symmetrical, asymmetrical, having a look and actually acknowledging, can you see the changes in the skin tonus itself? Breathing. Now, I know we all breathe, but do we ever take a moment to consider or to actually look at our colleagues and people around us and see how are they breathing? Are they breathing up high in their chest, which is quite fast? Are they breathing slightly lower, middle of the chest area? Or are they belly breathers, nice and deep? Now, when you're actually taking notice of the rate and the location of breathing, you'll also become aware when that rate or location changes. Somebody comfortably sitting back, breathing deep into their belly might, when they start to get quite anxious or fearful, the breathing location will change and the rate will increase. So being aware of how someone's breathing, where that breathing location is coming from, and at what rate are they breathing, understanding what may look like normal to them opposed to what isn't normal, hopefully giving you an opportunity to understand what is going on. The lower lip size. Now, I know this one I find when I tell people this, they go, sorry, what? So we all have a lower lip, and our lower lip size, when full with blood, will actually look quite full. And when not so full with blood, will start to look a little bit wrinkly, or potentially even with a dry complexion. Is there more or less blood in their lip size? What are you noticing about their lip size and the changes in the lip size, the lower lip size that is? Are their eyes focused or defocused? How many times have you spoken to somebody and you think, this person is not even looking at me? Are they defocused from what it is that they're looking at? Are they thinking about something else? Now, if you weren't aware of what their eyes were doing at that very moment, how would you have been aware of whether they are focused on you or defocused? Now, eyes can tell a lot. Some people, for example, won't want to communicate by looking at you, whereas others find that communication needs to be an eye-to-eye engagement. I know I catch myself saying to my children all the time when I'm speaking to them, look at me, can you please look at me? Because to me, that is an actual acknowledgement that they're hearing what it is I have to say. Whereas some cultures, for example, will not actually do that. They actually find looking straight into someone's eyes a form of intimidation or disrespect. So again, becoming aware of other external circumstances on what you need to look at when you're viewing someone's eyes. I'm focusing on the topic of focused and defocused eyes, but however, you do need to also factor in, are there any cultural reasons this person may not be looking at you, etc., etc. So what does it mean to actually be in rapport? Now, rapport is when people are like each other, they like each other. Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean everybody has to like everybody. But when you meet somebody and you instantly find a way of connecting with them unconsciously, whether it's through common grounds of interest or various other topics, how much better is that relationship? Let's say you're a salesperson. If you were to walk into your client's place of business and you really did not have rapport with that person, what are the chances of you making that sale happen? Now, let's say you did have amazing rapport. You walk in, and before you even know it, you've actually engaged directly with that person. The rapport is there, it's strong, and you keep it going throughout the conversation. It's going to be a lot easier for you to close that sale and move through the sales cycle. Now, this is where I earlier touched on understanding that we have 7% of words, 38% of tonality, and 55% of physiology coming into what makes up communication. So factoring that in mind, when coming in and building rapport with people, we have to be aware of what is it that we're doing to actually engage. Before I touch on the actual topics of rapport, I once was doing a job where I was actually cold calling for an organization. And it was the first time I ever took on a role like this. It was while I was on maternity leave, and it was actually just to help a family member out. At the time, I remember when I got asked if I would do the role, I've never ever jumped on a phone and sold something. I've been a salesperson in other types of roles, but that was generally face-to-face. And here I was with a list of contacts, and I've got to literally jump on the phone and start talking to these people, even though they've put in a bit of a warm lead in the sense that they've shown some interest to what it was being sold by the business. And I had to give them a call and pretty much get them across the line to make an appointment to get a consultant out to actually talk to them about purchasing. And this was solar at the time. You know what? I thought, why not? This is an opportunity. I see everything in life that comes at me as an opportunity to gain more skills, an opportunity to learn something, an opportunity to stay busy while I'm on maternity leave and my child's actually at daycare for that time period as well, and an opportunity just to talk to new people. I love meeting people, so I jumped right in. I managed quite quickly to actually book nearly anywhere from 10 to 15 appointments a day, which is, from what I was advised, quite high. So I was quite happy with myself, and I got asked the question, what is it that I'm doing that was different than the other people that were cold calling? I said, I don't know. I'm not too sure what they're doing because it's a virtual role and I don't see what they're doing, but I'm following the script you gave me and I'm going through my call list. So the person I was working with, the owner of the organization, said, do you mind if I sit with you for a day? I'd really like to see what it is you're doing, because I'm actually really good at setting appointments and I roughly get 15 to 20 and you're not far off that mark and you've just started. So of course, by all means, I'd love to get your feedback. Feedback is amazing. So we organized a day and he actually sat with me that time and he listened to all my calls. And this was a good 8-hour day. He sat while doing his work and listened to the calls I was making. And at the end of the day, when I sat to get his feedback and see what it is that he had observed, the first thing he said to me was, you have amazing rapport building skills. And I said, of course, this is something that we do in NLP. It's a very main factor in NLP, and it's an amazing skill to actually have. And he said, but you do it easily. You're matching everybody on the phone. And I will go on to what matching means in just a moment. You're engaging with them. You're instantly finding ways to communicate with them on common grounds. You're doing it so swiftly that they're not actually aware of how much information they're giving you in just a phone conversation. And he even heard some callers, which, as you can imagine, when they pick up the phone, they really don't want to talk to you. And they even tell you that they didn't give you their phone number, except the only way you could get their phone number is by them putting in an interest for the product. I still managed to turn that person around and get them having a conversation with me. And it goes back to obviously a few factors, rapport building skills, having the thrive, the ability to actually want to communicate with people, and understanding what communication is all about. Now, I'm on a phone, so therefore the person can't see my body language. They can't see my physiology and what it's doing, but they can hear my tone, they can hear my words, and they can hear what it is I'm saying to them on how I'm engaging. So there's a few things that I will watch out for, and I will dive deeper into them in just a moment as well. But I'm actually taking a moment to ask myself, when they answer the phone and say hello, how are they saying hello? Are they answering the phone in this very high energy, hello? And I'm on the other side going, oh, hello. Complete mismatch there. They're not going to want to talk to me. I've instantly started off the hello conversation at a different tone, which one for someone quite energetic would probably sound quite off-putting. Or there are callers when they answer the phone and they also sound quite down and toned. Hello. I also am not going to respond with a high energetic, hey, how you going? My name is Margot. Because again, they're not going to want to communicate with me. So it's understanding, how do they answer the call? Do they answer the call with a high upbeat energetic voice? Great, I'm going to match that. Did they answer the phone like I've just pulled them away from doing all the housework that they really need to get through that week? Awesome. I'm going to be conscious of their time, and my tone is going to be quite apologetic as I start to speak to them, because I want them to understand that I'm not here to challenge what it is that they're concentrating on, but I just want to take a moment of their time. And are they answering the phone in a very low toned, slow way of speaking? Then I will also respond in the exact same fashion. Okay, so I touched on a couple of words that I said I will actually break down and make it a bit more clearer to understand. So matching and mirroring, that is a term, whether it's someone on the phone or someone face-to-face with you, it's an ability to actually match what it is that's happening, or mirror what it is that's happening, or if you can, doing them both together. Now, again, this is something that we would do unconsciously. We don't want to make it too obvious because it would generally make the other person quite uncomfortable, and it's going to break that rapport for you. So what do we mean by mirroring? Awesome. Okay. I'm going to raise my right hand. That's my right hand right here. Now, can you do me a favor and raise your left hand? Amazing. Now, at the moment, what we are doing is we're mirroring each other. Both hands that are up in view of each other are actually the opposite hand. Now, it doesn't mean I want you to go around and put your right hand up in front of people in hopes that they'll pull up their left. But by doing this, it's showing you the ability to mirror the physiology that the other person is doing. Now, it could be something as subtle as walking into a room to the person you're going to meet, seeing that they're sitting on their chair slightly off to the right, one leg over the other. You want to come in and mirror that same position slowly as you come down onto your seat. So again, not being so obvious, so that you're also sitting in the exact same direction in opposite view with the opposite leg on top of your leg crossed over, because you're going to then mirror how it is they look. So when they're looking at you, the physiology is actually as if they're looking in an actual mirror. Now, this is unconscious communication. The other one to think about is matching. How many times have you been able to actually walk in to meet somebody and be able to sit in the exact same way they are? So when you're looking at each other, you're no longer mirroring, but you're sitting exactly the same. Therefore, who is like each other will like each other. So let's just do a little bit of an exercise. We're still going to use our hands. So again, if we were to match, I would put up my right hand and I would say, please put up your right hand. Now, what we would be doing from what you can see on my screen is my right hand's up. When your right hand goes up, it's going to be on the opposite side. It's no longer mirroring me, right hand to left hand, it's right hand to right hand. So that's kind of to give you an idea on what it means to walk in and either match or mirror. So the other thing that you want to be doing is also thinking about, is there a way that that person may be sitting that you don't want to sit like, so you don't actually want to match and you don't want to mirror them, but you want to still be able to find a way of connecting with their physiology. For example, I have a habit of shaking my legs. So I'm sure many of you have come across someone that does this or that you do it yourself, but you sort of got your legs slightly tucked up under a chair. You've got your balls of your foot down flat on the floor and your leg shakes. And for some people, it can be quite annoying because they're hearing the rattle of your leg shaking. And it could be that it's against a table, so it's shaking the table, or it's shaking a line of chairs, whatever the case may be. So what do you do when you walk into a room and someone's doing that exact thing with their leg, and it's something you don't do and it's something you don't want to match? So you can actually mismatch, and by mismatching, you may also be able to regulate the shaking of their leg down so that it gets to a point of stopping. Let me explain. So as that person's sitting there, and their leg is shaking, and I know you can't see my leg, but it's now shaking. So my left leg is going up and down while it rests on the balls of its foot. And when you go to walk in and see me doing that, I want you to think about what else in your body, what else in your physiology can you use to mimic that behavior in a subtle way, of course, but as you do it too, by being able to tap the same speed, start to slow down the movement. And as you do, you'll notice that my leg will actually, if I am in rapport with you, follow what you're doing. This is unconscious communication. You don't walk into a room and tell the person, I'm going to sit here and move my hand like this to the beating of your leg shaking. And as you're doing that, I'm going to start to get a little bit slower. And then your leg's going to get a little bit slower. And then I'm just going to stop. And you will stop. Of course, you want to do that unconsciously, but what you'll realize is that in that unconscious communication, that person's leg will stop, and that is another confirmation that you are in rapport. If you are not in rapport, it will not be something you can succeed at so easily, because being in rapport is how you're going to form that connection. Another thing to think about when you're in rapport, again, tonality, I know I spoke about it at the beginning of this series. Be conscious of your tone as you're using it. If you're trying to describe something that is really happy and exciting, full of energy, and you're speaking like this with a tone that sounds like you're about to command somebody to get up and do something because it's so stern and monotone, people are really going to miss the message behind the energy you're trying to place. And again, if you are trying to ask someone to do something and you're coming at them excited and bubbly with your energy, and you're going to them, oh my God, can you please go and pick up that bag and move it over there? It's also not going to come across that way. So really be conscious of the tone that you're using, your tonality. It's very, very important, especially on a phone call where they cannot see your physiology. They will go off your tone when you speak to them. They're going to utilize your tonality to the best of their hearing ability, and that's how they will also respond back to you. Be conscious of the words that people are using when you're communicating. Be conscious of what the predicates are that they're using. You know, are they someone that will turn around and say to you, I can see what you mean? So I can see, or seeing, is a visual representation. And if I turn around and say to someone that can see what that I mean, oh, I really feel what you're saying, they're really not going to understand, because they don't feel what they're saying or feel what they see. They see what they see. They see what they're saying. They can look at that perspective. So really understanding what words is this person utilizing, and then matching them back. Being aware of it, because that doesn't mean that that's how you see, feel, or hear, but it gives you the opportunity of connecting deeper in your rapport with that individual. What key words are they using? Key words. So what word do you find that they're repeatedly utilizing in their conversation with you? give it a couple of minutes and use that word back to them. It's so impactful because they actually then feel like you understood what it is that you were actually, what it is that they were trying to describe. So it's quite impactful, and it's really good to get into that habit of actually listening to the words somebody uses, and it really helps you to understand them a lot more too. Finding common experiences and associations. I'm sure this one's a given and many people are aware of it. We generally meet people and the first thing we say is, hi, I'm Margot, where are you from? What school did you go to? What sports are you into? Trying to find ways of connecting through interest. And we'll find that the minute we find one thing, it could only be one thing out of 10 questions that we've asked, we went to school together, we're instantly friends. We've got common grounds. We love animals. Awesome, we can talk about animals. But we also need to be aware of, or I should say, however, we also need to be aware of that once we do find that one thing we've got common interest or association with, we should still keep conversating to find others. Because what happens in a conversation when you connect on the grounds of liking animals and you run out of things to say? You want to really hope that that rapport has been bedded in so that you can pick up the conversation to find out more common associations and more common interests with each other so that you can keep conversating with that person. It's crucial for relationships, not just intimate, not just friendships, but especially the business relationship, to utilize common associations and common experiences and interests. And I say that because it will assist you in your ability to solidify that relationship with your customer. Trust me on that. Being a salesperson isn't just all about selling. Your relationship management skills is what will ensure your customers remain happy and remain with you and on your books. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about is content chunks. So grouping of words. What do I mean by that? And I'll give you a very quick example before I wrap up this series. When you find that some people talk, and I know that I'm here actually doing this recording, therefore my wording has been sort of flowing. But I'm sure if you're in conversation with me just on a normal day, you might find that you'll be able to pick up on my content chunks. So content chunks are grouping of words where once we group them, we pause, we speak again, we pause, and there'll be a rhythm. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a story. Today I dropped my children off at school. They were really excited to go to school. They were both so eager, they were ready. They had their bags packed and they stood at the door. And then before I knew it, they were in the car and they were so excited to get out. I dropped them off and I said to them, I'll see you later on this afternoon. Now I know that was a very short example, but I was grouping words, and unfortunately that's not how I speak. I am elaborating and exaggerating to give you an idea on what it means to content chunk, but it's where someone or an individual groups words in a sentence, pauses, groups again, pauses, and you'll find that there's a rhythm. If you can focus and locate that rhythm and match that rhythm back, speak to them at the same content chunk, that again will also help you with your rapport with that person. I have much more to say about this topic, so I'd love it if you can like, subscribe, and check in for more of my series. And I'm always welcome for feedback. So please, please, please let me know what it is that you'd like to hear. If I can give you any more on specific contents or any feedback at all that you want to give me, I am much more happy. So much willing to welcome. So do not forget to subscribe, share, like, and check in on your notifications so that you can see more from my series. And I hope wherever you are in the world, you take care of yourself. Bye-bye.